Okay. Good morning. It's a Saturday, and I am looking at narcissism and what it means to be a narcissist, and what it means to be raised by a narcissistic parent. So I'm just going to do this exploration by saying that I feel like I came into this world with narcissistic tendencies. Now, my belief is that I'm a soul, a consciousness in a body that is chosen to come to Earth to experience what I'm experiencing. Now, for those who say, well, why would you experience so much pain? Why would you do that? Why would God do that? I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. This whole idea of, source being all light, it needs to understand darkness in order to understand light. I don't know that resonates with me. It never did. When I learned that as a principle, I'm like, all right, intellectually that makes sense, but it never sat well with me energetically. Something doesn't feel right about that. It doesn't feel true about that. And to be honest with you, for my lifetime right now, it doesn't really matter why it is, but what does feel true for me is that I came here intentionally. I feel like I'm not just this body, and I'm not just this experience. I feel like I am a powerful being connected to everything. I feel that. I know that. Why? I don't know. So with that being said, when I look at my astrology chart, I see that there are certain things that I've chosen, that are predestined, if you will. It doesn't mean that it's going to be true, but it means that there is an opportunity for it to be true. That's what I mean. For example, it's written in my astrology chart that there's an opportunity for me to be to work with spirituality, to work with metaphysics, to be a teacher, to be a writer. All those things are written in my chart. Does that mean that I have to be those things? No. Does it mean that I must be those things? No. But they're there, and those are things that are very clearly written all over my chart, and I'm living them. And it's natural. It's been there since I was a little kid, So with that being said, there are some other things that are written in my chart. For example, that I would have a mother that was strong and probably withholding of affection. A cold mother. Our relationship would be, she would love me, but she would be a dominant force in my world. And that's one thing that's written. The other thing that's written is that I would have a fucked up bonding and an unnatural bonding with her. So with my mom, I'm an only child, and look, I'm actually getting around to the narcissism. My mom was a narcissist, and I'm a narcissist. Some people might say that it was my mom's narcissism that made me a narcissist. But what I'm saying is that there's some things in my astrology chart that would make me activate and make my relationship with my mom activate the narcissist within me. So the reason I'm saying this and the reason why it's important is because as I go forward with my 100 Days of Happiness, and as I go forward with this exploration of being a narcissist and being in recovery, and as I go forward with food sobriety, it's really important to know that I'm not blaming my mom. And the reason that this is important is because I went for years blaming my mom, and I did a lot of healing around that, and now I don't have the same negative charge around my mom. She is now no longer the scapegoat. Well, she wasn't a scapegoat because I had to go through the process of giving her what she did wrong. She had to take responsibility for that, and I had to give her responsibility back to her for her wrongdoing. And it took me years to kind of get over that. She had to be dead for a year and a half, 2 years. She had to be dead for 2 years before I could really let it all go. But I worked and worked and worked. And I was able to let it go. That healing is definitely done. I'm no longer angry with my mom. And now my mom can be a spiritual guide for me in a way where I can receive her as a loving spiritual guide, and not as an antagonizer or as a punisher, a brutalizer, which is what she was when I was a kid. So when I speak about my mom now, this is the year 2017, it's very different. When I speak about her narcissism, I'm no longer seeing myself as the victim of her narcissism, but I'm seeing myself as a co-creator. And at this point, I'm the co-creator. There was a time when I was a victim. And I'm saying that again, and I'm emphasizing this because if you are healing yourself and you're not allowing yourself to give over full responsibility to the person who abused you, you're number one, not healing that part of you that needs to acknowledge that they have been victimized, that you aren't in this by yourself, that this is a co-creation. I hope I'm making that clear. It's about letting people take responsibility for themselves and you receiving the nurturing that you need and the empathy that you need and the sympathy that you need. And for your inner child to get the nurturing that they need and the validation for their feelings that they need. If you skip that step, you can't really be healing as far as I'm concerned. You can't be healed. You can be healing, right? But you can't leave out that step. And I feel like it's key to make sure that everybody takes responsibility for themselves and that you experience the support and the nurturing that comes from allowing yourself to feel like a victim. Now, it's interesting because one of my clients, well, actually not one of my clients, every single one of my clients, now that I think about it, every single one of them takes on the responsibility of their abuse. There is a part of them that feels like they are responsible for that abuse. To me, knowing what I know now, it's very normal for people to do that. But it's what I've learned as someone who took on the responsibility, always letting my mother off the hook when I was young, she works hard and she's tired. That's why she does, she calls me names. She says I'm inferior, I'm inadequate. she's bossing me around. It's because she's tired, and I'm just a child in school, and I should go and serve her like a slave. All these kinds of weird things. That's the coping mechanism. The point is that aspect of yourself has to be nurtured and honored until it develops what it needs, because when you are being abused, you're not developing fully. You're missing developmental steps, because while you're being abused, you're being robbed of your development. So you have to recover that aspect of yourself, and sometimes that means that you have to be a victim. You have to feel and acknowledge that you were victimized, that you were brutalized, that you were raped, that you were incested. You have to acknowledge that. You have to nurture yourself. You have to feed yourself, because when your abuser was taking from you, they were starving you of your own dignity. They were starving you of connection to yourself. They were starving you of understanding yourself, of developing a relationship of safety, of security. All of these things are significant for you to have and to acknowledge. So if you are someone who wants to heal, and you are taking on the responsibility of the abuser, and you're denying your victimhood, or you're repressing your need for validation, you've got to go through the period of acknowledging that you have those needs, and you have to get that, give voice to that aspect of yourself. And when you do that, and then you can, while you're doing that, you have to sometimes, well, not sometimes, I think all the time, you have to give that responsibility back to the abuser. Let them have it. It's theirs. They're the ones who did the abuse. Now, I'm not saying that you have to carry that forever, but you have to let yourself feel it immensely. You have to surrender to the true feelings that are there. Let them run their course, and then you get to move on. You're not moving on. You're not letting go or being free until those emotions run their course fully. And that requires you to be 100% with yourself and in the experience, and in 100% validation of yourself. You give that back to your parent or your abuser, and you let them take responsibility for it. And sometimes it means that you have to spend time beating them up for it. You got to do it in whatever way you got to do it. The way I had to do it was, I had to look at my mother and peel back the layers of her bad behavior and what it did to me. And the nature of my personality is easily wounded. It's written in my astrology chart. I'm easily wounded. I feel I'm highly empathic, but I'm also narcissistic. So there is a tendency in me to see just the surface of things. And this is what a narcissist does. A narcissist is not just someone who falls in love with their own image, and gets seduced by their own image. The depth of that statement is that the narcissist falls in love with the image and does not get in touch with the energetic or the being that is behind the image. So for me as a narcissist, I see things. I don't see being. I don't see depth. So when I look at a person, I'm all about seeing what's on the outside and what's superficial. And that is the problem. If you're only reading a person's body language and you forget that the body language is connected to an energetic dynamic inside, then you're only seeing a tiny little part of a person. Now, if you're reading a person's body language, you're actually having much more depth of understanding of the person than what a narcissist would see. Because a narcissist would see only the image, and they would... So I'm looking at this, I'm sorry, because it's not 100% true that a narcissist only sees an image, but that's what the narcissist focuses on. I'm going to back up a little bit because I'm biting off more than I can chew in what was supposed to be a video, a short video. But it's important to understand that a narcissist is, when a narcissist sees only the image and they don't see the being, it's important to understand that they're missing beingness. This is really important because a narcissist is a person who's starving. They are empty inside because they're focused only on the image of themselves. They don't feel, we don't feel like we are real. We feel like we are just an image, just a shell. And so our behavior becomes such that we are vampires and we suck up the energy of other people. We feed on other people because we are empty inside. So when you're a child who's born to a narcissistic parent, your parent is empty and they're sucking the life out of you to feed themselves. So that, you know, has a tremendous impact on the child. The child is sucked dry. They're not allowed to develop. They're, like I said earlier, they're robbed of their development by their abuser. The narcissistic parent is an abuser. Even though they can be super charming, oh my God, you know, a narcissistic parent, you know, this is why I said that I have this, and it's written in my astrology chart, that I have an inappropriate relationship with my mother. My mother is not my mother. Like, it's way too complicated for me to go into for this video for myself. But the reason of wanting to talk to you about this narcissistic relationship is so that you can recognize the importance of having a narcissistic parent, what it does to you, what it takes from you. And maybe even more, I wanted to kind of talk about narcissistic parents, but maybe for understanding where maybe you have narcissism in you. Narcissistic parents don't recognize that they are narcissistic. And if they did recognize that they were narcissistic, maybe they would do something about it. I feel like my mom, if somebody said to her, you know, like if she understood that what she was doing was narcissistic and that she was doing harm to me, and if somebody could give her a path out of it, I think that she would have responded to that and would have made changes. I don't know, maybe not. I know that I'm a fucking narcissist and I want to make changes. I'm not here to try to hurt people. I'm not trying to hurt people. Now look, I'm not saying that I have narcissistic personality disorder. I don't. I'm not, I am a disordered person, but I think my disorder is so just chaotic, you know. I don't feel like I'm clinically certifiable. So, but I think this is really important to understand that it's not all. I've done a lot of damage because of the narcissism and the role that narcissism has played in my life and the way that I have expressed those narcissistic traits. That's the thing that's important, because there are lots of people who are like me and who don't realize that they are like me. There are probably those of you who are watching this video and who are saying, that's not me, I'm not like that, that's the other person. If you're saying that, that's shadow talking, right? Anytime you say that you are not something, that's when you have to look at it and say, well, there's a shadowed aspect of me that's in denial. Because as beings of all of God, there's a potential for everything in us. There's a potential for racism, there's a potential for sexism, there's a potential for hatred, there's a potential for loathing. There's a potential. It doesn't mean that it's all turned on and that, you're going to experience that in this lifetime. But where you feel a strong thing, a strong urge to say, no, that's not me, that's when you have to look. You could have never gotten me to think that I was a narcissist until I started looking at shadow and understanding how repressed and how in denial we are. Repression is an unconscious force, okay? Repression and denial are unconscious, and you don't know you're doing it. And I thought, I know what I'm doing. I remember being just that arrogant and thinking, I know who I am. That's not in me. Oh my God, the stuff that is in me that I denied and repressed, I had no idea. That's also written in my astrology chart. If you ever want me to go over your astrology chart with you, book in for a session, because our astrology charts are just amazing. They give us so much insight about who we are. Anyway, going back to this narcissistic thing, and I'm going to actually try to wrap this up, and I'm going to go back and talk about why I originally started to do this video, because I'm doing 100 days of happiness, and I feel like happiness is here for all of us all the time, and I've been compulsive eating, which is the narcissism wanting to fill itself up. For me, it's narcissism being focused on the image, the exterior, having not a connection to the interior. Therefore, I use food to fill myself up. I use other people to fill myself up. I use work to fill myself up. I'm very compulsive. So with that being said, how can you be happy while you're unhappy with your eating and unhappy with the feeling of compulsivity inside? Well, I guess I'm going to just say that there is a feeling of happiness in the living. I feel happy because I'm alive. I feel happy because I feel like I am a co-creator with the universe. I feel powerful. And all the pain that I've experienced, I feel like I am a co-creator, not consciously, but I feel like the dynamic of light and dark is alive. I want to say in my soul. Now, I don't necessarily know. Well, gosh darn it, I am going to say that. Yeah, I feel that the potential of light and dark is in me. I feel like I am all things. And I feel like happiness is letting go of resistance to the all that I am. And you hear me saying that I'm a narcissist, and you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to know her. I feel like you're safe with me. I feel like I'm a safe person to be a friend. I feel like I'm a safe person to be a lover. And I say that because I am accepting of the lightness and the dark within myself, and I'm doing my best to release my resistance to who I am. And you can be safe with me because, well, you can be safe with me because I feel safe with me. I'm no longer afraid of me, and I'm no longer in denial of me. And even in saying that, I'm aware that there is unconscious repressed energy and unexpressed darkness and all that. But what I am saying is that I feel unconditional love for myself, and therefore I'm worthy to feel unconditional love for you. And look, my unconditional love is expanding because there are parts of me that I've not seen, and there are parts of me that are still turning away on the inside. I still feel empty on the inside. But it's in acknowledging the emptiness, the ability to acknowledge, the ability to be aware, the ability to recognize, and the ability to stay present with myself. You know, like to check out sometimes, but not all the time. That's what makes me love myself unconditionally. That's what makes me feel like I have real unconditional love for people. And that's what makes me happy, even when I'm feeling hungry and unfed, and even while I'm still narcissist in recovery. That's it. Okay. All right. What a video. It's a narcissism video. It's a happiness video. I don't think, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If I post this as a happiness video, I think a lot of people are going to be like, that video, this is not a happiness video. This video is dark. So I don't know if I'm going to post this under 100 Days of Happiness. I think I'm just going to make this a narcissism video, and I'll make another video for happiness. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do for happiness video today. I'm going to make video while I'm with Pascaline. Pascaline is my friend here, and she makes me very happy. She's from the Reunion Island, and I just love her. She's very beautiful. She's very sexy. She's loud, French people can be very quiet and demure, especially here in the northern part of France. People tend to be more quiet, Like Parisians can speak, and I'm often saying, I can't hear you, and they're thinking, I don't know, they're thinking I don't understand them, but actually I'm saying, you speak so quietly, I can hardly hear you, Like, oui, madame. But Pascaline is loud, she's bright, she smiles. Like when she smiles, her whole body smiles. When I smile, my whole face smiles. When Pascaline smiles, her whole body smiles. It's hilarious. And she runs really fast and she runs hard. So she's my running partner. But on Saturdays, she takes me to the grocery store because I don't have a car. So she's like, on va faire les courses. On va faire les courses. We're gonna go do our shopping. So we go to the bakery, we go to the grocery store, we go to the meat market, and that always makes me really happy because we kind of spend a large chunk of our weekends together. We do our shopping on Saturday, then on Sunday morning we get up early and we go for a run before her kids get up. So this is really very sweet. So maybe that'll be my happiness video for today. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I don't have enough space on my portable computers to go and to get, I mean, my phones, I don't have enough space on my phones to get enough video footage of us shopping. So I might have to bring my laptop, and that's going to crack people up. People are going to be like, what the fuck's she doing? And I'm going to be like, I'm American. I do what I want. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. We crazy up in here. I'm going to blame it on Donald Trump. Yes, I'm carrying a laptop around, filming from a laptop, because Donald Trump is president, and he crazy. He's crazy. We all crazy up in here. We all have a collective consciousness, you know? It's not just Donald Trump. We all contributed. It's not all Republicans, you know, and teabaggers or tea partiers. It's all of us, Democrats, Green Party, everybody crazy up in here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And, oh, what a crazy ass video. All right, signing off. Bye for now, loves.